Hi everyone, this is our official session 2 screencast and lesson in our Tech Odyssey. You should have already watched the introductory screencast for kind of the class overall, and then additionally you've completed one TED Ed lesson that utilized a video that was created by the makers of TED Ed that sort of explained its features and gave you a little taste of how it works. The rest of the screencasts that you'll be watching were made by me and then flipped into lessons, and that's actually what we're going to look at here, the options of how you can use TED Ed, because it certainly is a really neat website and has some great prospects. You already had a chance to peruse some of the lessons that exist on the TED Ed site, and in the video you saw them mention the opportunities that the TED Ed site affords with YouTube, and that's what this particular screencast will be about. In terms of what TED Ed does, and you already have an idea, it allows a user to create an online lesson that has a video, has questions, both multiple choice and open answer, has a place for putting additional resources, links to other websites, a link to an assignment, and then you can add some final thoughts, and it's all contained on one single page rather than students having to click around. And as long as students are signed in, as you are signed into the TED Ed site when you're completing the lessons for this class, a teacher can also see that the student has completed the lesson, and that gives an opportunity to assign homework points or assign interventions based on the student's performance. So in the way of using that in class, certainly you could do lessons that were based in specific rules or steps, especially if you are in a situation where you teach something that has labs, like consumer and family science or traditional science-based classes. You could do a video about how the lab procedures work or what the rules are for using the tools that are going to be involved in the lab. You could assign it to students to complete at home for homework, or if they don't have a computer at home, maybe give a few days to complete this assignment so they could do so in the school's library or something. And then you can see on the back end if they've completed that, and if they haven't completed the lesson and successfully answered the questions, then perhaps they aren't allowed to participate in the lab. So you can put a little bit of ownership on students to be prepared for some of these things that are going to be happening in class, and that's really the basis for this idea of flipped learning, that you would spend some time at home building some background, getting some basics established, so that more of the time in class is spent in sort of an environment where there's active use of that knowledge going on, rather than having to take up most of the class time just actually disseminating the knowledge, and that does take quite a while. So that actually leads us to the second use. You could give brief sort of subject-based lectures on a topic, or find a video that covers a topic you're learning about and make a lesson out of that. So again, students come to class with some background that you're ready to work with and do an activity with. You could use this for doing read-alouds or kind of making like music videos or using YouTube music videos, and then the students have to use the video as a place for reflection, or maybe identifying certain rhetorical tools or uses of different types of cinematography, all sorts of options there. And then again, you can utilize YouTube for this. So think about the vast number of YouTube channels that organizations have. Lots of news agencies have YouTube channels. The NASA has a YouTube channel. National Geographic has a YouTube channel. So you could utilize some of those videos for learning purposes as well. Really, there's just amazing possibilities with this. So here we are at the TED Ed website, and you have already seen this when you registered. The lessons that are available that TED has made are accessible here, or like you saw in the first video, you can look by series or subject. The things we're going to talk about in this screencast are how to flip other videos, or how to use these lessons and make them your own. Because even if you found one of these lessons that you wanted to use, and I asked you to think about some you might be interested in, you can flip them so that your students can complete them and you can see that. And the first video already alluded to that. I will say TED Ed is constantly evolving. They're doing a great job taking feedback, and so even a few of the things that you saw in the video that introduced it to you are already different. And the help feature is really useful here. I had an issue with this and emailed into TED-Ed, and a human wrote me back and was able to help me with what the problem was. So certainly they're working hard to make this really meaningful and useful for teachers. So again, I'm already logged in, and if I'm a teacher that is looking for a lesson that I could use that is pretty much already finished, let's go ahead and say that I'm an English teacher and I want to look at this dramatic irony lesson. So I take a look at it, and I look at the video, I like the video, I look at the questions, and I actually am quite happy with the questions they've done. I don't want to add any more questions. I look at the dig deeper, and I think that what's provided here is really useful as well. Since I'm already logged in, I can choose to flip it, and it will take me to a page where this becomes my lesson. You can see created by Karen Barrett. I can leave the title the same and everything if I want to, but this is what allows me to use it with my students. So let's say, for example, as I said, you are just using this outright. You don't want to make any changes to it at all. You go down here, you click finish, and this is fed into your TED-Ed account so that you're able to utilize it personally. This screen pops up when your lesson has been flipped. Here's the link that your students have to go and complete this lesson for your purposes on the back end to see that they've done it. You could put this up on your website or into your Edmodo. You could give it to students on the chalkboard and have them go to it. There's lots that you could email it to them if you'd like, and there's a couple of different options they have for sharing that are past that. You could tweet the lesson or put it up on Facebook if you use those things. Then again, here's where you might email your students. So you got to get this link to them, but once they have it, they're able to go to that and complete the lesson. So if we take a look at that on the back end, we'll go over here to you. Here's my account in TED-Ed. You can see a lot of the lessons that you're going to be completing in my account here. And I can see that my lesson stats are that 0 students have completed this. Once students start taking the lesson at home, then they'll start to pop up into your lesson stats. So let's just do an example of that, and I'll be the student in this case and complete this lesson. So I can go to the lesson this way, but remember you give your students the link for them to be able to get to it. And I will mention here as a quick side note that if you're watching this TED-Ed lesson and you feel like the screen's too small, you can always click the full size screen right here to make the video full size for you, and then when you hit escape it just goes back to the lesson, so you don't have to watch it in this little box, even though you can. So if you want to make my own lesson that you're watching right now full screen, you can do that. So we watch the video and then we complete the think on the questions here. So I'm going to click on think, and then there's these questions that I have to answer. So to save time, I've taken a moment and completed all the questions, and it says I'm all done, and then I can go on to that next dig deeper section here and use that as a student. That doesn't get recorded, the use of that, but now I've completed the lesson. And so I'm going to go ahead and go back to the home page. Since I'm logged in, I'll be able to see it on the other side. And here now I see that one student has completed the lesson and that it's me. In the way of the questions, I've completed all the questions and I got them all right on the first try. Now, if the student doesn't get it right the first time, TED-Ed offers a way to put in video hints. And when you start playing with this, you'll see that. This is a really nice option, I think, because if a student gets it wrong the first time and they click on check my answer and it says, no, sorry, do you want the hint? They can choose to take the hint or just continue on. And if you tell them that they need to do that in class and then send them home to watch this, you can see if they've done that. So even if they don't get it right on the first try, by looking at their responses, you can actually see if they took advantage of that and corrected their own incorrect answer. If I had gotten this wrong the first time, this would be the one I chose the first time, but this one would also be highlighted because I went back and corrected myself. And that's a really nice option for giving students full credit for sort of remediating their own misconceptions or incorrect answers. And if they didn't get it right and didn't try to fix it, you would just see that the wrong answer was highlighted, and that might then be used for assigning completion points or points in the way of making sure that students are using this for the right purposes. So it is true that they always can get a hint or they can correct their response here, but I think that that's useful in the sense of what this would probably be used for. And then this TED Ed allows you to go through and look at what the students answered, and then you can also see their short answers. You see clearly I didn't finish this, so you could evaluate their answers for completeness. And then also you can see up here that it does give you a little drop down menu, so if you have all your students that have finished this, you can toggle from student to student right here. So if we return then to our lesson page, I want to show you how to use YouTube videos for this purpose. And I'm really excited about this option also. If you search for a video on YouTube, and I'm actually going to recommend a series of videos here called Crash Course. So you can just type that in as your topic, and you find all these great videos. These are very highly regarded, and they're really nice sort of summary videos on all these different topics. You can see here that there's all sorts of choices. So maybe I find one of these that I want to use in class, and I take a look at it. So I'm going to click on it here. It allows me to watch the video, and then I decide I like it. I just click flip this video, and I'm ready to start inputting my information. So like the original video said, you can literally find any video on YouTube, or you can make your own, as I'm making these with another tool I'm going to show you called Screencast-O-Matic. I'm uploading them to YouTube, and then I'm flipping them as lessons. So you can make your own videos or use YouTube, and then the possibilities become so much greater than just using the TED Ed lessons, although they also are quite good. I want to show you one that I've kind of already worked on a little bit so that we have time to take a look at how this all works. So now I'm back in my account here, and if I scroll down a little bit, here's one that I have created, and if you click on this, it's going to bring up the option to edit it, the little gear there. So we'll click on edit and see what I did with this. This is a video that I didn't make. I found it on YouTube and have used it actually for several years in economics about how the housing market collapsed. So I just searched on YouTube for the title of the video, which I already knew because I had used it previously, but you can do just a cold search too and probably find lots of options. I entered a let's begin to kind of give it context like the original video suggested. This is a link where students can click on it and go get more information about the foreclosure problems before they even watch if they'd like. So you can put links in. You can see here add a link and unlink. So if I click in here and highlight this word, it gives me the option to place a link there for students to be able to click on. It will open a new window for them. They won't lose their TED Ed window or anything like that. So that's a nice option there. I've added think questions, and again both short answer, and multiple choice, and I've put in video hints. So if I go to add another question, for example, you can choose open answer or multiple choice. This is one of those things that's already changed about TED Ed, because you saw in the original video that it showed you, it said it had a quiz and then a think. Now that multiple choice option is available to all of us. We can write our own multiple choice questions and give video hints. And then additionally, you can put in open answer. So that's a great option that they've created. So if I look here, see, this is where I can put that time code hint. So if I'm watching my video and there's a question that's specific to a piece of the video, I can just put that time in here and then ask the question. The answer option, let's put in a letter here so we can go to next. You can choose up to 5 options here. So especially if you're doing this for kind of an AP style course or something where 5 options are typical, you can utilize that. And then you indicate which option is correct right here. So if we go ahead and put in an option here and then put in another option here, and we'll say that this one's correct, we can click next. And then it gives us a preview of the question, and we're able to save it and add it to our list up here. This is how you add a question right here. And then if you add the questions in an order that then you want to reorder the questions and how the students see them, you can just drag them around under the sort tool for that portion and click save. So it's really easy to add and reorder questions here, and then those are the questions the students will answer, and they'll be submitted to your end so you can see that the students have completed it and what they've said, especially in those short answer questions. The dig deeper is a way, just as the other video said, for you to add more resources. I actually added an assignment in this particular one, and so that allowed me to have them come to class ready to do something the next time. So you could think about that as an option. And then the and finally is essentially closing thoughts. There's not very much space here. I've actually used up all the characters by this very short set of words. So this is really truly a closing thought. And then you just click save and you're ready to go in this case because we're editing one. But if you've made your own and you've just begun it, it'll say finish flip. And once you finish it, it will be live for other students to find and use. And again, there's that link for you to give to the students so that they can complete it. So I hope you're excited and you will take some time right now to look for a video that you can flip.